Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. For people who have been following the bold, you'll remember in one of my analyses I once mentioned when I analyzed about the confusion that was coming out at IBC, where the commission was a little bit looking skewed. I analyzed that Raila Odinga's political strategists must go and invest in the polling station, because if they will have all the agents and they will make sure that everything that is announced at the polling station is what is going to be announced at the National Tallying Center, then everything is fine. Speaker Muturi, while speaking in Kiambu, that is yesterday, the 17th of July, mentioned that the CS for ICT, Joe Musheru, had made an advertisement in the government Ajira portal, ordering, demanding for recruitment of citizen photographers to man the polling stations that will be employed at work in different polling stations. So citizen photographers, these are just people that maybe they're just using phones and just to capture. Remember, unlike the last general election, this election, the polling after voting, maybe the police will be very friendly, will have a very soft spot for people to still hang around. And of course, perhaps this is what I am seeing. And I want us to look at this very critical. And in the same rally, Rigathi Gachagua blamed Joe Musheru that Musheru was employing chiefs, was telling the chiefs, I don't know under that lineage of order, that protocol, how Musheru can talk to chiefs to collect 30 names from people within their areas of jurisdiction, so that government will do bulk SMS to campaign for Raila Odinga. I want you to listen to those two statements from them, even though I am really wondering how Musheru was going to interact with the chiefs, because I think that will be a docket be under Matiang'i, or it's under Matiang'i, not even, there is no other option, it's under Matiang'i or President Uhuru Kenyatta, because the provincial administration is under the office of the president. Now, listen to Muturi and Joe Muturi and Gachagua.
Tumeona huyu mtu naitwa Mucheru wamepanga jama na mtu naitwa Alex Chamwada, wanaambia machief ati kila chief kila siku watafute watu 30, anakupatia shilingi 1000, unampatia namba ya simu, ati hizo namba za simu mtakuwa mkiandikiwa message ati muunge kitendawili mkono. Sisi tunaambia machief msitumiwe vibaya. Kama mtu yote anataka kuandikia raia message, uandike message ya kusema mtapunguza bei ya unga siku gani.
Na hii mtu anaitwa Musheru, serikali haiko kwa debe tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8. Wale watu wako kwa debe ni vyama vya kisiasa. Sisi katika mrengo wa Kenya Kwanza tuna kinara wetu William Samoei. Ati William Samoei. Ule mwingine ako na watu wake, sijui mnajua hiyo jina yake. Si mmesema mtapeleka nyumbani huyo? Mimi nataka kutahadharisha mtu anaitwa Musheru. Ni kijana rafiki yetu. Ati ameweka advertisement kitu inaitwa Ajira Government Platform. Ati anaomba watu wanaitwa citizen photographers for every polling station. Kwani serikali iko kwa debe? Serikali iko kwa debe? Sasa tunataka kuambia Musheru, hiyo advertisement patia vyama vya siasa, hao ndio wanashindana. Serikali kaa kando, kazi yako ni kupatia tu sisi askari wa kuangalia kwamba hakuna mtu anadhuru mwingine.
Now, I want to tie this with a latest, also another allegation from Oscar Sudi, which probably I believe was just to discredit opinion polls. Oscar Sudi made a post in his, I think his Facebook page, saying that the deep state had already, in conjunction with the IBC, set out what according to him were data centers. I don't know how these data centers are going to work with IBC, and they're heavily guarded and equipped data centers. Set out an algorithm so that it will give Raila Odinga a constant lead against Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. This probably is not new allegation, or rather it's not a new statement in amongst the politicians, because this has been mentioned many times as one of the things that happened in 2017. But I see Oscar Sudi, of course, just trying to find way of discrediting the opinion poll. I don't think it is more on what exactly is happening in the political scene, but it is just a ploy to make sure they can discredit the opinion poll. I want to be very categorical today. In the light of this, this is a digital warfare. The contest between Kenya Kwanza and Joe Musheru is nothing short of digital warfare. Let me explain one of the most unfortunate developments that we actually captured. Apparently, there are Twitter influencers that were contracted by Rigathi Gachagwa's office under, I think, in close coordination with William Ruto's presidential team. And these Twitter influencers are supposed to run hashtags and messages, political messages, for Deputy President William Ruto, for the UDA team, and also suppression of Raila Odinga's political messages. Now, I think there is something, there is the way Twitter policies work, their Twitter policies. There is also some laid out guidelines and algorithm. But so to beat algorithm, people use very dubious means to beat the algorithm so that your hashtag, or rather your trending hashtag, can get to the trending list. Now, what happened? Apparently, they were over 500 of them were contracted, and they were doing the work. But the means on how you are paid is on what you have done, like your Twitter thread. Sometimes when you see people making a lot of tweets, there are a lot of pseudo accounts. Pseudo account ni account yenye mtu anatengeneza, and of course hata si yake, si yeye. You can tengeneza with jina Kevin Oduor, and maybe that is not even Kevin Oduor, and just to make sure that you get a platform to execute your points. Now, after doing some work, over 500 accounts were swiped once, and that was within 2 hours. Now, coincidentally, all these Twitter accounts belonged to Kenya Kwanza bloggers. So, and no, when they went now for payment, there was a problem because they had lost their account, and because they don't have accounts, it is those accounts that you show work done. So there was no way they could show work done, and they were not paid. So there is a storm in the UDA wing between them and their digital team, because the digital team cannot be paid. They have lost their Twitter accounts, and they can also go to get the payment. I am telling you that so that you see the magnitude of the digital warfare between Joe Musheru and the Kenya Kwanza team. And some of them have actually blamed government for that. What is the interpretation of these occurrences? That's what I want us to look at, because I know many people then will asking, Kevin, so what does this mean? Or what exactly does this portray? I want us to look at that. But ladies and gentlemen, kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our video. I also want to continue reminding you that we have a new channel, Kevin Oduor Exclusives, on human interest stories. So you can also rush there, and we have some very heartbreaking story of a lady that is searching for her son that has been missing for the last 7 months after the son was allegedly sent away from school. So guys, I want us to get to the politics in it, because the digital warfare, I can tell you, is one of the spaces that is regulated, but regulation is above board. I see a very well elaborate strategy by Raila Odinga presidential team to invest in the polling station for man marking of IBC. And I am saying this with a lot of zeal because in my analysis, I analyzed and I mentioned here that someone close to Raila Odinga and William Ruto should tell them that as you go through the tenders, the dubious tenders at IBC, and what the commission is doing at Anniversary Towers, make sure you invest your energy at the polling station, because that's where the results are going to be announced. It's very easy. And even if you are to have challenge, to have a presidential, to go and challenge the results, what can only make you, for you to have a watertight evidence against your opponent, that evidence can only and should only be extracted from the polling station, because that is where the voting was done. The voting was never done on the algorithm. The issues about the servers is more technical that even the judges do not understand. So at the polling station, I see that strategy by the team to invest. And probably, let me just point out something here. Why do you think that government is man-marking IBC? The government is man-marking IBC through the digital surveillance. And the digital surveillance is one that will blow everything. If in case anything dubious happens somewhere, you never know. And this might be an overstatement though, but I also see a probability that the government might not be so much convinced on the commitment of IBC to work on a fair playing ground for those two political players. And I can say because they have access to everything. So, and of course now there is nothing they can do because you will interfere with a lot of stuff. Now, this digital warfare has, I see it also as something to manage Rigathi Gachagua's skipping the deputy president's debate narrative. And of course, 500 accounts have been lost. These are influencers. William Ruto team is already now in bad. They now have a bad relationship with the influencers. This influencers' role between today, the 18th and 19th, tomorrow, before the presidential deputy president's debate, was to make sure that they run hashtags and narratives that will defend any probability of Rigathi Gachagua not skipping that debate. And if that was there, I also see that one that was being micromanaged. But then, the big issue, or rather the biggest signal that everyone must see, is the possibility, accessibility, and capacity of the government to manage the digital warfare in their political campaigns. They can manage. This is something you have to see. If they will be in a position to employ, if we have 46,000 polling stations, so even if you do 80% of polling stations, that's almost over 30,000 polling stations. That tells you of their commitment to make sure that this election is free and fair. And maybe it can point out that if election goes free and fair, then the right candidate is going to win. And I want to insist on this because for this country to have stability, for Raila Odinga not to contest results if William Ruto is declared the president, and for William Ruto not to have the luxury of going to court if Raila is going to win, you must make sure the election is free and fair. No one is going to waste his money going to Supreme Court if I know that literally I lost this election. And I say that will be the determinant factor whether William Ruto will go to contest the results. But do you also see a possibility of shrinking propaganda consumption so that logical messaging between the two camps can emerge? Who's going to win in that? Because one thing that has happened is William Ruto team even the influential team have found themselves in very difficult situations because there is an element of double speak where William Ruto wants to say this, he's in government, at some part he would say that. So there is a lot of puncturing into their messages, and because of the double speak, William Ruto team has found it very difficult to sell logical messaging. even to sell their manifesto, because there is an element of mistrust amongst the voters. And that mistrust seems to have been brought in by the doublespeak. And I want to say, the doublespeak is by making, because Deputy President William Ruto has been a deputy president for 10 years. And he's been winning, they've in government, successful election process 2017 and 2013. So everything can be put against him. You cannot compare that with Raila Odinga. Whether there is something that Raila Odinga said in 2009, between that and what Ruto said in 2017, which one comes home closer? And probably that's it. That's what's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my bold look into the digital warfare.